I need you to hate so I can use you for your energy.
This is Real Sales Talk. Real sales advice from real sales practitioners. Giving you tips on how to dominate your sales quota are your co-hosts, Sean Mitchell and Phil Keene. This episode is brought to you by Convertist. We are incredibly excited to have partnered together with Convertist, which helps SaaS and services run managed outbound campaigns for teams looking to drive new pipeline opportunities. For teams targeting mid-size and enterprise deals, Convertist integrates with CRMs like Salesforce to uncover actionable data in their sales processes, which enables them to find areas of improvement and double down on strategies that actually work. Benchmark the lead generation performance expected of a seasoned SDR and identify actionable areas of improvement in a sales process, all out of one place with Convertist. For teams looking to measure and enhance their performance of their sales funnel and architect a better revenue engine, cast an application to join the Convertist Slack group. It's at convertist.com/Slack. That's Convertist, convertist.com/Slack, SLACK.
What is going on, everyone? It is Real Sales Talk. We're going live with another episode. In fact, by the time you're hearing this, we are into season 8. Holy cow, crazy. We're now into season 8, and we're excited about this one. This is going to be one for the records and for the memory books. We're going to go exhaustive and deep on video and using video, leveraging video on the sales side. So as a sales professional, how can you leverage video in many different aspects to build better connections, build rapport, and build trust, and tell stories as well? We have a couple of my friends that I met when I worked at BombBomb. They are real estate professionals. They are amazing people. They're Canadians, and they are also RE/MAX real estate agents. Michael Thorne, based out of Vancouver, and Jesse Peters, based out of Winnipeg, Manitoba. So welcome, gentlemen, to Real Sales Talk.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much for having us.
Absolutely.
This is fun. So I don't think, Jesse, sorry, first time you and I have been on a podcast together?
Yes, actually, I really dig. I'm digging this. To know that we could be legally in many cars, not distracting people by holding their phones and looking at us on video, that they are actually just focusing on our stunning baritone voices.
I agree.
Especially Michael with this fancy Yeti microphone. I mean, the bass is just reverberating in my headphones.
Yeah.
Yes. Cheers to that one.
You got to turn on the sexy radio voice. That's how it works.
It's all part of the package, baby.
This is the first time that we've actually had multiple guests on the podcast at the same time, and I think this is going to be really good. I think we're going to get a lot of dialogue, a lot of good banter about the topic, which is video. So let's go ahead and dive in. And I think maybe a good place to start is you two have developed some notoriety in your markets where you do real estate, but you've also developed some notoriety within RE/MAX as a brand for utilizing video. You've been on panels at RE/MAX conventions. You've started this video boot camp. So I'd like for us to start there so people can get an idea about what you're doing with video, and then we'll kind of branch out from there. So talk about this, how this idea came along for this video boot camp that you're now, according to what we were chatting about last night, has gone global. You're going international with this training. So talk about the origins of that, and then what you're doing in that boot camp.
The origins of the video boot camp is sitting right over there. She's not going to be on camera because she says she's not having a good hair day, but it's all Valerie Garcia.
Neither am I. I'm wearing a hat. Come on.
It's all Valerie Garcia's fault. Valerie, who was at the time the director of training for RE/MAX Integra, which is Eastern Canada, most of the Midwest, and all of Europe, sort of paired Jesse and I up. We didn't know each other. We hadn't met each other in person, and floated this idea of going deeper with training when it comes to video. And just in general, I think as sales people, we get a lot of, depending, no matter what industry you're in, we get a lot of 1 hour motivationals, and those are great. But I don't think we get enough skill building. We don't get enough like going deep and learning a skill set. And so she challenged us to put together a 2-day curriculum of sort of A to Z, or A to Z if you're in the States, stuff we've learned along the way, from types of video to how to shoot it to how to promote it. That's a big thing. You've got this asset, but if no one sees it, there's really not a whole lot of value there. And from YouTube to Facebook, and then dark posting, which is a huge opportunity, and YouTube pre-roll and all that sort of stuff. So we put together this 2 days worth of training, and it continues to evolve, Jesse, as we go. Every single time we do a video boot camp, it's different. But the real need for it was, when I started doing video, I was kind of on my own. I didn't see anyone else doing video, especially in my industry. There was no one I could pick up the phone and ask questions of. There was no one that would help me through sort of the hurdles that you encounter, no matter what new skill you're trying to master. And when Jesse and I finally were able to connect, we could bounce each other, ideas off each other, and we found that we were helping each other move forward faster. And so this is the goal of it. The goal of it is to get in a room with 50, 60 agents and just help them get to where we are faster by learning, the things that we had to sort of struggle to get. And we continue to learn things and continue to push forward. And actually the students probably pushed Jesse and I forward ourselves as much as we pushed them forward. And that was the crux of it. And we've been all over North America, doing the boot camps, and it's been awesome. It's been super rewarding.
So curious to hear a little bit more before we move on. So talk about early people that you looked at as people that you want to emulate or maybe replicate, even though there wasn't anybody in your industry. Was there anybody that you did turn to that maybe was not a real estate focused person?
That's a great question. And before I jump into that, I just want to, Michael explains it so eloquently in kind of how our boot camp came to life. But I do, again, want to do a shout out to Valerie Garcia for aligning Michael and I, seeing something there. And what's funny is we are both realtors who are not part of her territory. Like, we're not Remax Integra. We're Remax Western Canada, completely owned by different people. But there's a funny story was because I was also looking at doing video, and Michael doing his own thing. Well, where do we get influencers? Who are we influenced by? And this leads into your question, Phil. Is right from the get-go, getting into the business, I wanted to implement video. So where do you go to get inspired to video? You go onto YouTube. And who did I discover on YouTube? Michael Thorne, right? So, and I was using BombBomb, and Michael was doing seminars, but I was also coming across Michael with his 30 favorite places in 30 days in North Langley, which is actually his neighborhood, which is what, about 35 minutes east of Vancouver, Michael? Right? So that's kind of how that world worked. And then I was looking for more social media learning and teaching. And so I came across Remax Integra because I'm essentially in the island of the prairies here, Winnipeg, Manitoba, which is actually the middle of North America. And for the US audience, we are like 7.5 hours north of Minneapolis and 2 hours north of Grand Forks. We're pretty much about an hour north of the border. So that's where I'm located. And so the two people that I kind of looked at for as influencers early on, without really connecting to them, was Michael Thorne and Valerie Garcia. But as that ball kind of gets rolling along here, right, there's obviously some people who I'm still inspired by on just in regards to their camera presence and stage presence. And I would have said, Phil, I probably would have said, yeah, no, actually, we're writing the book on our own thing.
It's changed now. There's definitely people that inspire me now.
Yeah, it's changed now. Like now, like if I'm looking at it now, like you said, Michael, like I'm big on a Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm big on a Peter Lorimer with PLG Estates out of California. I'm big on, you know, what Travis Robertson does. I like little snippets of Tom Ferry, what they do. But also, just with this whole world of Insta and storytelling and vlogging, you know, Michael's, I think it's fair to say Michael has a bromance with Casey Neistat, would be one of them. And who's your man crush out in Toronto there, Michael? Peter McKinnon.
Peter McKinnon.
Right?
Yeah.
So
and one of the things too is when I reference people like Casey Neistat, for certain is I don't want people to look at his stuff and look at like the camera work and the lifestyle that he has. I look at him and I think what people need to learn, especially in sales, is to absorb his storytelling. You know, don't look at the way he frames up shots and his music and his edits. Focus on the storytelling. Story is king, and when it comes to video, and if there's one thing that I get inspired by him is the story. Your video production will never, you'll never be him because he's full-time, you know, a filmmaker. But look at story, and that's the big takeaway that I get from Casey that I continue to look at. And right now, you know, D-Rock with Gary Vee is the same thing. His ability to tell a 20-minute story sort of every second day, you know, is inspiring. And that's what we need to do. We need to do a whole lot more story selling than storytelling.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you with Casey Neistat and his storytelling. I think it's fundamental. I think it's really important. And when for listeners who are listening to this, and you're like, okay, where do I start? What do I do? I think that's really, really key and fundamental is just to tell your story, whatever it is, whether it's the experience that your customer has had with you, or maybe it's a you know, your day, just a day by day on what you do and how you know, sell products or provide services to people. That storytelling is really fundamental and key. So let's unpack that a little bit, because I think there's some good nuggets to pull out of the storytelling piece of it. So Jesse, I know that I've seen some really great storytelling from you on Facebook and the videos that you publish. Talk about what you're doing and maybe some of the thought process behind that final product.
Well, would you, like in regards to the real estate side of it, or in regards to?
Yeah, I mean, I see you in front. In fact, I just saw one this morning of you in front of a sign. You had your hat on, you had the for sale sign maybe and right behind you. So you can talk about any of that. Like, what are you intentionally trying to do with video on Facebook? There, let's just start with that.
Sure,
Facebook.
Sure. So ultimately, and before I got into real estate, right, and I'm just 5 years in the business, right? So ultimately, and I won't say just, like 5 years is a lot when we know what the average time in real estate is to be successful, or to kind of just keep your head above water. People are often dropping out in that 3-4 year marker. So so coming into that, my background was advertising and marketing. Okay. And that was kind of the gig, and everything that I've done is sports and entertainment, advertising, marketing, bartending, all that. So putting a personality out there, connecting, selling the story about a product, and kind of when I wanted to get into real estate and kind of focusing on the power of social media, there's no better way to connect with a social audience that actually, like, the news feed is stuff that's related to you or your interests, right? So if we're able to build know, like, and trust and be top of mind for people and deliver, you know, engaging content, informative, and entertain them, you're going to be in more news feeds. And so the goal always was just to build know, like, and trust. Here's who I am. Here's what I love to do. And by the way, I help people in their real estate journey, and also though showcasing my community around me, and that buzzword's been going around for the last couple of years: community, micro communities, showcasing others, leveraging other audiences, and Michael and I really tapped into that well before, it's a common day practice now, right? Like tagging people in your Insta story, hashtagging this, doing this, right? And we're really just wanting to showcase life around us. And that's when I utilize the power of Facebook, and I kind of go about it differently because I do a lot of it through my personal page rather than the business page side of things. But that's ultimately know, like, and trust. So we're getting, like, you're watching me before we even meet in person. And we use this line all the time. And it's funny, I'm pointing to you because I can see you on the screen. I might be going actually the wrong way to where Michael actually is sitting. But there's no more sitting at the kitchen table pitching who we are. The research has already happened, right? And, they're consuming all platforms, but none other like Facebook now, when 85% of the feed is video already. So just trying to be me, tell my story. And I've definitely gotten a lot more comfortable with who Jesse is and showcasing that. And that's a big thing.
Did we lose?
Right? So, did we lose me?
No, you're
You
back.
froze for a second.
You know what? It's the technology that makes it to the island of the prairies. It's limited. See, the great thing about Jesse Peters is he's crushing it on video, and he's living in a 2004 world. So
he's
just
still got AOL. You got
56K modem, guys. Just got a phone call there.
Amazing.
That's solid. And you know what? I think there's a lot, Jesse, what you're talking about, this know, like, and trust thing. It makes me actually think of somebody else is doing it in a different industry, which is SDR Chronicles by Morgan J. Ingram. And all he's doing is telling his story to people that have the same problem he does. So there's other SDRs that are relating to the thing that he's talking about, and it just resonates with them. And he's coming from a very honest place. And when you do that, other people start to listen and they start to relate to what you're saying. And now you become their advocate. You become their person that's telling their story. And I've seen it build his brand.
And it becomes less pitchy. It becomes less when I could use this line, is less car salesy, right?
Yeah.
My father-in-law owns a car dealership, so I get it, right? But the approach is, like the real estate industry and that car industry were kind of like looked upon as the same, just out it for the quick phone or the quick car sales, the quick house deal, and then gone, right? And we're trying to, if we want to raise the bar for our real estate industry, we have to showcase we're real people, not just after a transaction.
Right.
When I look at this idea of using video, I'm going to just take a wild guess, just because I've been in this space for a little while. Selling a product that helps people, helps make it easier for people to use video. And then, of course, doing this podcast with the video side of it. I'm going to just take a wild guess and say that most people listening to our podcast are not utilizing video. Talk, Michael, about this know, like, and trust idea. And I want you to tie it to why it's important for salespeople to be doing what you're doing on a consistent basis, which is leveraging video, and what that video does when someone receives it.
Yeah, well, it's so clear to me, and has been for such a long time, because I'm 25 years in this industry, and so I've done all the different marketing. I've done the flyers and the door knocking and the cold calling, and I've done all of that, and I know what the results of doing that has been. And so when we started leveraging video into our business, and the results were dramatically different than anything else we've ever done, well, then that's an easy decision to say, okay, it's time to go all in. The beautiful thing about video is not only is it the best marketing opportunity we have, regardless of industry, very few people are doing it. So not only can you differentiate yourself, but you're differentiating yourself using the best medium possible. I had this conversation yesterday at an event down in Vancouver. Someone said, this video fad is really like catching on. This is not a fad.
Same with this Facebook thing. I don't get
it. But even more than that.
When's backbook coming?
Television killed the radio because it was a much better medium. movies are still the way that we prefer to consume our entertainment. The reality is video has just in the recent years become accessible to us. It's not new. It has been the dominant way of communicating outside face-to-face everywhere you look. It's the dominant way you want to advertising, sports, anything is video is the best way to consume it outside being there face-to-face. So this isn't new. This is not a fad. It's just accessible to us right now. And so, the analogy that I use is this. We need to show up when they're ready to learn, not when they're ready to buy. I think if you show up when they're ready to buy, it's too late now. I think the buy cycle for certainly in real estate and probably in other industries has become dramatically longer. And if you look at the last time you purchased something that was more than $250 and you walked into the store, the only thing you needed the salesperson to do was to get it down off the shelf because you had already done that research beforehand. You've done that research beforehand. And so people are going to research you as whatever provider you do. And if you're providing that on video, there's this know, like, and trust. It goes back to the way my mother-in-law talked about soap operas before they sort of left the air. She would talk about Susie and Tom like she actually knew who they were, that they were family members. And that's just the power of video. And so, the idea is to become this approachable resource where there's this know, like, and trust, but they feel like they can reach out to you. Daring Personer gave me really good advice one time. He said, your job isn't to become an expert. Your job is to become an approachable resource. If you're an expert that people feel like they can't stop in the coffee shop, then you're just educating somebody else's client. And so video is a great way of educating somebody else and building a relationship at the same time. And it's just the ROI is like nothing else. I'm shocked. I'm shocked at how little people use it. When we finished our last video boot camp, I asked a question that for the first time, I said, now that you've taken this 2 days of training, do you think you're further ahead do you think there's 10 people in your office that are further than ahead with you in video? Raise your hand. No one raised their hand. Do you think there's 5 people that are ahead of you? No one raised their hand. Do you think there's 2 people ahead of you? And then maybe 1, like the idea that you can still be at the forefront of this movement, if you want to call it that. You can be the number 1 person in your marketplace in whatever industry you're on Tuesday if you started leveraging video. That's an amazingly powerful thing that I just can't believe more people aren't grabbing that opportunity.
Yeah,
I mean, and I think the proof is in the pudding. To you'll win short term, but you'll grow long term by embracing this.
Yeah,
right. Like that's the key, right?
Yeah, and we've seen it across multiple industries. If you look at Laura Madison in the car sales industry, what she's been able to do for herself and her brand has been absolutely impressive. And if you look at Jack Kozakowski, like he's a massive win on the B2B side. You look at Morgan J. Ingram in the SDR world, like he's been able to escalate himself because of video and putting himself out there on a whole different level and different tiers, like the Gary Vaynerchuk of the world, like Gary V. And I think, Michael, to your point is he has to still make himself approachable. I think that's a big part of why he still shows that he shakes people's hands and takes selfies. He still has to be that guy.
Let me tell you a story that speaks to that real quick, Phil, if I can interject here. And it happened to do with Jesse and I. Jesse and I, I'll take you back. Adam Sandler was filming Happy Gilmore in Vancouver.
Where are you going with this, man?
You'll get there. It's worth a story. It's worth a story. It proves, yeah. So he's filming Happy Gilmore in Vancouver, and at the time he's on SNL. He's a big star. He's just starting to step out and do movies, but he's definitely the biggest star on SNL at the time. He's sitting at a dining room table in a nice restaurant down on Granville Island right next to us. And everything about his body language, everything about the way he sat, the way he pulled his hat down over his eyes, meant, do not approach me. Do not interact with me. I want nothing to do with you, which is fine. But that was everything about his body language. And this is back in like 92, 93, wherever it was. And so I had no other context about who he was in his personal life other than that. Fast forward to 2 years ago, Jesse and I are in Las Vegas, and we're about to zip line down Fremont Street.
Oh, yeah.
And Jesse's eyes light up, and he shoots me a look, and my eyes light up, and we both know we've just seen the exact same thing at the exact same time. What we had seen was Dana White walking down Fremont Street, surrounded by, I don't know, Jesse, 8 or 9.
Yeah, easy. Posse.
Eight or
Security
nine-
posse.
8 or 9 monster bodyguards. And everything about Dana White in that very moment said, do not bother me, do not talk to me, leave me alone. But what Jesse and I knew in a 2016 world at the time, or 2015 world at the time, that we'd seen him on Twitter, we'd seen him on Facebook, we'd seen him in the world, and how willingly he is to interact with people out in public, and how he treats his fans. This is information we had because the world has changed that I didn't have with Adam Sandler back in 92, 93. And so we jumped out of line from our zip lining. We caught up with him, and one of the bodyguards just turned to Jesse and I and said, yep, just wait till we're around the corner, boys. And so we ran the corner. The moment we turned the corner, he turned around. He could not have given us more time. He was awesome, took shots with us. We interacted for a couple seconds or a couple minutes to a point where we felt like it was time to let him go on with his life. We went on with our life. But it was in that information that we had provided that he was an approachable person because he had shown his authentic self. If the only time we show ourselves as salespeople is in like polished videos and polished commercials and polished this, we don't show our human side of it, the approaches on the street side of it, I think you're missing a huge opportunity. And we're just living in a different world where now we know what people are like. And
you don't need to be the Dana White, though, or you don't need to be the, like, in regards to, you don't need to be on that level of, I'll call it fame, right? The same thing happens to us, Michael, when we're at conferences, and I'm sure you guys experience the same thing. Or, you know, in a grocery store or at the playground. You know, I also think it's part of your character on what your cut is. But it doesn't mean it has to, it just doesn't have to go that way. And you don't you can be approachable in so many different ways, pays off in so many different ways. And ultimately, it's building relationships.
Yeah, Jesse, and I think it's changed. I think there was a time not that long ago, the 1980 businessman was like, I'm one person 9 to 5, I'm suit and tie, and then I don't want anyone in my business world to know who I am, you know, when I get home. I think that's different now. I think we're allowed to be who we are a lot more in and out of business, and I just don't think that, you know, you're one person at work and you're one person in your family life. I think that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, the one thing that I appreciate about what you two do is that you do get a glimpse into what a day in the life of Jesse and Michael are. And to kind of bring it back to this know, like, and trust, I think that people are buying into you before they're buying into you if you kind of understand the meaning behind that. And this is more true probably in B2C with real estate, but I think it's also true in B2B as well. When you're selling to businesses and companies, people are much more receptive to you when they feel like they are familiar with you. It's familiarity, it's comfortability, and it's trust. And so this idea of using video to just kind of answer the question that I can hear our listeners asking in their head, why do I need to start using video? It's because that element of trust is a fundamental component to making a sale happen. If you don't, and I know some people would argue with me on this, but if you do not have that trust and rapport, I don't think you have the sale. Would you, Phil, do you have anything to add to that? Do you agree or disagree?
I think it's directly in line. It's actually just the terminology of know, like, and trust. If you actually ask our top sales guy, his name's Tony Ryan at Octave, you talk to him about it, he comes from a recruiting background, headhunting background, and that's actually the one piece of advice he gets. What's your best sales tip? And if you ask him, it's people buy from people they know, like, and trust. It is
all day.
Infinite for across any industry and anybody selling anything, whether it's retail or car sales or real estate, or you get in the B2B world and it's software, or it's agency world, or it's headhunting and recruiting. It doesn't matter what it is. People buy from people, and they buy from people that they know, like, and trust.
Absolutely.
And I think just that tidbit by itself, even taking the video aspect out of it. So I think it's bridging the gap, and I'd love to maybe even transition a little bit more of, all right, so how do we get people to know, like, and trust you using video very specifically? And I think it was a valid point with the Dana White example of you have to be approachable, but how do we do it? How do we make how do we bridge that gap, I guess, between me as a person and getting you to actually want to do business with me?
Well, I think the big win. I think a lot of our team's recent success in years and 25 years in the business is that society has skewed towards our skill set, right? So it's really benefited us coming to us, but society has changed. Whether it doesn't matter what industry you happen to be in, what sales industry you happen to be in, society has changed, and that has nothing to do with your industry. You've got to embrace the fact it's got nothing to do with you. And we are becoming a culture that isn't comfortable learning from someone until they've learned a little bit on their own. I think there's a lot of more research that's happening. People are doing research. So the question is, if you're the person providing that information to them, if you're helping them through their information gathering cycle, that 0 moment of truth world that we're living in, if you're the one providing that information along the way, there's no like and trust. There's also something, there's social equity, there's debt involved. It's the same reason why why we feel like we have to tip better when we've got a good service. We feel like we as human beings need to even the score. And if you understand that if you can create some equity, some credit with somebody else because you've helped them along the process, they will feel the need to repay that debt to you. And there's no like and trust that gets built along the way. We just replaced the windows in our house. One of my son's hockey coaches works for a window company, local window company, and he's a great dude, and I really, really, really like him. So when we thought about getting windows, I called him right away. He came into my house. He gave me a quote. He says, you can do A, B, or C. Different levels, different quality of windows. And I just said to him, Mark, if this was your house, what would you do? And he said, I would do this. And I said, okay, do that. Because it wasn't about the sales. It was about the fact that I trusted him. I knew, and trusted the guy. And I just said, what would you do? And he told me what he would do. And I trusted that was the right answer, that it wasn't commission-based or product or upsell or margin-based, that it was a real answer. But that didn't happen. If the guy had just showed up on door and knocked on my door and said, I think I can sell you windows, the sale wouldn't have been that easy. There would have been a lot more work and a lot more trust to be developed there. So I really think it's so much more scalable. I used to have to go door to door to door to door. Now there is someone, as we do this podcast, there is someone that is watching one of my videos, and I am now able to sell on scale without actually having to go to physical door to door. It's just a whole new world. There's nothing like it.
I want to talk 5 to 10 minutes about the psychology of what happens when someone sees you on video. And I know you two can talk about this from experience as well as maybe at like a higher level. But Jesse, what do you feel like happens to someone who sees you on video, and how does that help you?
Well, you know what? I think how people see me on video, and I think I earn or get closer to earning know, like, and trust by delivering. What's the word I'm looking for? Delivering content continually, right? Staying top of mind. And content isn't always about what's good for what's happening in the real estate world, or here's your top 10 questions, or all this and that, right? It is being top of mind. And I'm the social savvy realtor. Hence, if you can follow me on all platforms at Mr. Social Savvy. And I would say 70% of the stuff that I'm putting out there is more personal stuff, interests, community, kids, right? And by staying top of mind all the time, it's kind of like that vlogging, where it now jumps back over to the conversation that Michael was having in regards to being relatable with those soap opera stars, right? And so when I get in front of the camera, I'm just trying to deliver something that's unique about how I'm feeling, or showcasing somebody else, putting them forward. And I'm just that medium to be able to deliver that. But all through those, I like that guy's mannerisms. He's always smiling. Or you know what? He's got one button undone too much. That's not my style. I prefer to work with someone with less chest hair. But the business that I have now, after embracing video and making it part of my business and my life, the business I'm doing now is more enjoyable, is more positive. There's less trying to keep people that don't like me just to try to keep a sale, right? And we use this analogy. If you're the boring stats guy, right, you're going to relate to boring stats guy. If that's your personality, showcase that boring stats guy's personality, because chances are you're going to recruit, or not recruit, but yeah, you could recruit it. You're going to get a client that is into those sorts of things. The engineer worlds, the statisticians, right? And it just works for everybody. But when I put on video, we're just keep moving. It's the long play. It's the way that I also build relationships beyond real estate. And I think there's the value. There's value there. And I look at it as vlogging almost.
Yeah, and it's totally true. Yeah, some of the stuff that you've done, I think at a very fundamental level, and I'm just so fascinated by the psychological, the psychology behind someone watching you. And I think it connects with someone on a very human form, right? For many, many years, and our buddy and friend Steve Passanelli has talked about this too. For thousands of years, maybe millions of years, humans have connected with people face to face on a one-to-one level, right? They've met face to face. They've been able to see body language, and they've been able to hear tone. And only recently have electronic communication has it been introduced. And so you really lose that ability to really understand what someone is trying to convey. And there's no personality behind an electronic form of communication, like a Facebook post or an email or whatever you have. So
emojis would be a close second.
No, but that's what, no, you know what? But that's exactly why emojis were invented, is so that we know that you're being empathetic, or you're being sarcastic, or you're like, because of what's missing in the text world. That's exactly why emojis have become a huge part of our world. Is exactly why. Sorry.
So I mean, the question, which is kind of a rhetorical question, is why, as salespeople, do we allow ourselves to communicate without being able to communicate a lot of those things that we rely on to build trust and rapport? We're sending, standard basic emails that don't give any personality, that don't show your smile. We're communicating with phone calls, which do tell tone, and you can, in some cases, hear someone smiling on the other end. But why do we allow those things to be the thing that represents us, and the thing that people buy into and doesn't accurately represent us? It's just paradox, I think.
Yeah, it's in your head. It's just what's in your head. Like, we will meet people we've never met before at a coffee shop, and with no problem. But the hesitation by the majority of people to get in front of a camera, to just use that as a medium to connect with someone on the other side, is a complete roadblock. And I blame the reverse camera, because we can see ourselves. We can play that back. We can't sit down in real life and say, oh, what do I look like? You don't care what you look like. But the moment, the moment mirrors came around, the moment that is that hesitation. And the sooner that you can embrace who you are, love who you are, this is what's happening today with me. People aren't choosing us based on what we look like. It's the value, the interests, and the relationships. And it's circling back. It's all cyclical. It's all there. We just got to get over how we look where we are. I got a double chin today. Oh, this is how my voice sounds. Oh, the sooner you get over that, that's like opening Pandora's box. It's like, man, the sooner I got over that, Jesse 2.0 came out. Like, boom, right? I really think that's what it is. It's just changing your mindset. But you only change your mindset by doing these things continually and committing to it, like so many other habit-forming systems.
And honestly, I think some of it's just getting in front of the camera and starting. If you look at Sean and I, as we've evolved over the last year and a half now, Sean, how much more comfortable we are in camera, how much more comfortable we are just having conversations with, where this is a lot less structured. This is us just kind of shooting it and going where it goes, and having good conversation and letting it go. And I think that's you just got to do it. You got to jump in and be immersed in it, and it will help. It will help a ton. And it goes back to your point that you start accepting yourself for a lot of different things. And it's crazy. I know the first time, if I go back to my head, where someone's like, hey, I watched Real Sales Talk.
Real Sales Talk family, want to take a quick break just to say thank you to our partner Convertist.
If you're interested in improving your game to drive leads, opportunities, or closes, join the Convertis Slack group, a place where sales and marketing operators can talk best practices to architect a revenue engine. Cast an application at convertis.com/Slack. That's convertis.com/Slack. Now let's get back to the episode.
Yeah.
Do what?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sure all of you guys have had that one time. It's like, wow, all right, it's actually worked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People actually listen.
exactly.
It happens all the time. Like
Right.
All the time.
So we teach video boot camps, and I said, if anyone does the 30 videos in 30 days challenge, you're gonna get stopped in a coffee shop. You're gonna see results. What was it, day 6 that he wrote that post, Jesse, a couple weeks ago? It says,
Yeah.
I got stopped twice today because of the videos I was doing.
Jesse and Michael were right.
Yeah. And I'm like, I told you that would happen. Because it's happened so often to me. Like, it's not a fluke. Every single time someone goes out there, like, it's one of those things. It's like being paperless in the real estate industry. Video's the same way. If you honestly make an effort to implement it, you'll never go back. I haven't seen anyone implement video who actually made a shot at it, who hasn't added more and more and more to the business. As a sales, let's talk about the sales thing too as well. In the real estate industry, for certain, we do not have a generating lead problem, even though that's what we focus on as an industry. Generate lead. We have a conversion lead problem, right? We have this like, we want to get a new lead, but we don't want to convert it. The beautiful thing about video is that people won't call you because of your videos. That is a beautiful thing. If they see your videos and realize you're not a good fit for them, you're not the right personality, you're too laid back, or you're too serious, or you're there's not a fit. It's like when we walk into a clothing store, there's 4 or 5 salesmen, and in a second, in our instinct, we pick out the person that we most feel comfortable having. I hope I get that girl, or I hope I get that guy. So it's the same thing. I don't want to find 2 weeks into a relationship that I'm not a good fit for a person. I want that person to make a decision because they consumed 4 or 5 pieces of my video. Do not call me if you do not want to be hugged at the end of a real estate transaction. We show that in our videos. If you don't want to be hugged, don't call me. I'm not the right agent for you. And I'm good with that. And so as much as it draws the right people towards you, it will also push the people that don't see your value away from you. And as a salesperson, that's a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing.
I love it. I love it. You attract the people that they're like attracts like. That's the phrase that keeps coming to my mind when you talk about that. And the antonym as well, like the opposite. The people who don't like you, they will be attracted to what you're doing, and that's just fine, because, as you're saying, Michael, you don't want to work with someone that is not really into you. You don't want to be dating someone who's not really into you, right?
No, you've got better things to do with your time. You could be out spending time with someone who is. It's that's a tough thing to get around, is to realize you don't have to work with everybody, and you don't. And the sooner you embrace that, I realized that when I was 27 years old, I fired some clients in the backseat of my car and it was such a freeing thing where I'm like, oh, you don't see my value. I don't have to work with you. And it was like, that's a great thing. And video just does that on scale.
Yeah. All right. So we've kind of talked philosophically about the value of video and why. I want to get technical and tactical with you too. Okay. So Michael, I want you to share some of your best secrets of video success. How do you use it specifically, and what advice would you give to our sales audience listening right now?
This is easy. And it blows my mind in 2017 that there'll be a number of your viewers that goes, oh, I didn't know that, because it's the best of the best. And that would have to be giving up vanilla, right? If you look at your text messages that you send out, there is no way that the way you send out text messages to your grandma is the same way you send text messages to your college roommate as the same way you send to your prospects. You speak differently. The words you use, the mannerisms you use are different. But we as an industry have one vanilla messaging, right? We try to target everybody. With Facebook dark posting, with the ability now to reverse engineer the marketing, the vast majority of the videos we put out, there's no record of. They don't exist. They were created for a certain particular audience, and they're reverse engineered backwards. So this ability now to target, the 350 homes around a new listing, and for that video to be very raw, so it appears like it's filmed in the moment, which it is, and then to say things like, hey neighbors, on your way home from picking up the kids from Alex Hope Elementary, or for coming home from work, I'm sure you saw the for sale sign on the corner of 86A and 212. You know, the yellow rancher with a white picket fence? We've just put that on the market. So that's a video you would create for those 400 people and hyper target those 400 people for $8. And because you speak differently than if that video was intended for the Metro Denver community, you would never say, hey, you know, the yellow one, or you would never reference the local elementary school. Because you can be targeted in your messaging in a way that we could never before, you cut through all that noise, you resonate on a different level. And so when you can realize that you can speak differently about the amazing gourmet kitchen to people who describe themselves as foodies, then you would describe the 2-stall horse barn to people that are into horses. The moment you realize you no longer have to speak vanilla, you can speak butternut crunch to those that love butternut crunch, and Cherry Garcia to those that love Cherry Garcia, it changes everything. And so your cost per conversion goes through the roof because you're reaching the same people for the same amount of money, but you're reaching them in the flavor that they want to consume, and that changes. That's the end all and be all with our ability to market right now. It is an absolute home run, and Jesse and I will get in front of a room of 1,000 people and say how many people are using the strategy on a regular basis, and I don't know, at best 5% of the room comes forward, and it blows my mind.
Love it. Facebook dark post. If you don't know about it, go look it up. I've used it myself, and it works really well. And this isn't just for B2C, right?
Oh,
If you're
B2B would be killer.
You've got companies in a specific industry that you want to target, you can do the same thing, right, Michael?
You can target. I only want people in this marketplace that work for either Remax or Century 21 that are men between the ages of 23 and 45 years old that are into Mariners baseball. Right? And then you could, you would never go that hyper, but the ability now to speak to them, I think the smaller, and this is why one-to-one videos work so well, Sean, the smaller your audience means you speak differently, means you resonate higher. And so this ability now to, on scale, to reverse engineer the conversation is amazing. I think we're B2C, but for B2B people, it's out there. All that information's out there. You can go straight to them, and you can do the same thing on YouTube pre-roll, which will get you on the second or on the first page of Google later on this week if you did it correctly, where we all want to be. It's an absolute home run, this reverse engineered marketing.
And kind of diving into this a touch, kind of out of the real estate world, is an example, and Phil, you brought up car sales, right? Like, imagine you have the opportunity where you say you're working at a dealership that specializes in family cars. Pick a brand, right? You can target newlyweds. You can target people with 2 kids, 3 kids. You can target people like who live in that certain area within 3 miles of that dealership. And imagine now you're creating video that says, can 2 hockey bags and 2 car seats fit into this car? Let's test it out. And now your video message is not just, hey, I'm Jesse Peters, come on down to this dealership, blah, blah, blah. No, you're answering a question. You're giving them information that is meant to them. Not like, oh, this has 14 cubic square feet inches. No, like what's real life here? How easy, how quickly can we take out the car seats of this back in this back foldable seat? Right? And you're targeting that to families. Or say you're doing, say you have a paperless product and say it's video or video email, and you're like, hey, do you want to communicate? Are you trying to break down the barrier of cold calls, right? And you're targeting, Xerox is targeting Coca-Cola or whatever it is, right? But the message then also has to go along with, it has to be specific, like Michael had said, has to be specific to that person that you're connecting with.
But
right?
we couldn't do that before with a bus bench ad. It was just
a bus bench can't do that. A billboard can't do that. A flyer can't do that.
Nope.
The ROI is ridiculous. You just have to put your thinking cap on and say, what are the questions that I'm being asked all the time, and address them in 30 seconds or a minute, and then target that audience and get it in front of those people.
The perfect example of how old is new or how things have changed. Walk into your local newspaper and have your local newspaper say, we have a readership of 110,000 people. And I go, yeah, you got a readership. But how many of those people are men between 18 and 25 years old? Because we're selling those UFC t-shirts, those whatever they're Hardy or whatever it is. Anyway, I only want to market to them. Yeah, but we have 110,000 people. No, you have 9,000 people between 25 and I only want to pay if they read it. I don't care if it gets to the front door. I don't want to pay if the newspaper gets in the front door and gets in the recycling bin. I only want to pay if you can prove to me that they opened up and consumed my ad. That's what you can do now. You can say only these people, only if they actually consume the content. The price is pennies to have this hyper targeted and to have the analytics that you know that it is working or not working. And that's the beautiful thing about dark posting, Sean, is that you can run this same ad 4 different times to the same group with 1 to 2 different titles and 2 different graphics and figure out which one performs better, which will inform your next ad and your next ad and your next ad. And by the end of the year, you've got the best advertising in your marketplace because you A/B tested for no cost. It's a no-brainer, and
people see you, and you're top of mind, right now. And that's coming from a business angle, right? And for someone new in whatever industry it is, this can work on your budget, right? Like I can't compete with people who flyer my entire city. Sure, they get results, but they're spending $250,000 to put out paper that ends up being recyclable, right? So I could never do that coming in. This is just, we're still marketing like we're in the early 90s. Really, even the 80s in our industry for sure. Yeah. And I think that also lines up with the average age of a realtor. So there's opportunity to win here.
There's a whole lot of blockbusters out there, and there's not enough Netflix.
Yeah.
So one point before we move on, and I think Sean, you had another question you wanted to walk through, but I use the acronym in B2B, which is WIFM, which is what's in it for me.
Yeah.
So if you get into it, the exact example, Jesse, that you go through of, hey, does this car seat fit in this car? I was actually not even a week ago Google searching. I have a car seat. I have 2 kids. Does this car seat fit in this car? Because I need to know what size car I could fit. And if you would put that ad in front of me and I know it's the car I like, I would immediately be interested in that car.
And guess what?
You can get in their heads, right?
And we know that about you, Phil. We know. Right. We like you can.
Phil, I got 2 kids. They're both in car seats. We're related now.
Right.
No, but not only that, but like Facebook knows that. You know that as a marketer. Just think how powerful that is, that you know that the person you're selling to, like if I owned a flower shop, I would market to women who have a status of engaged all day long. Like, they're going to get married. You never had that ability before. Like it's, that we have to embrace the fact as business people that information's out there that never existed before. It's unbelievable.
Now, there's another angle you can do here as well, is you can target via zip code, via postal code as well, via street and radius. That's the other angle of the geo-targeting that Facebook allows us. We can pick the interest and we can geo-target. So it's really, where's your farm, or where do you want your geo-farm to be, right? And it's incredible.
It's incredible.
So we've talked about lead generation here with Facebook Dark Post.
Yep.
I want to get into, because I know there's some juicy stuff in here as well about lead conversion. You two have crushed it with using video with lead conversion, and I want let's just start with Jesse first. How are you using video with lead conversion? Give us some your like tried and true tactics for leveraging that face to face with video and lead conversion.
Well, I really think this, in terms of lead conversion, I reply back to most leads now with a video, right? And right off the hop, it's, hey, thanks so much, or I heard we connected, or you've got interest in this property. By the way, here's me. I don't really like typing, right? Break down that barrier, entertain them, provide them information that they've asked, right? And already we're kind of one-to-one next level in that potential relationship. And 99% of the time, the response I'm getting is, that's amazing. That's so cool. Or I've heard of you and I'm not surprised at that response, right? In terms of how it was delivered. Converting, boom. You're already further down that trail of know, like, and trust. That lead conversion, delivering, and I utilize the power of BombBomb. Biggest thing ever. Built into my Gmail, built in the app on my phone. It's the easiest way for me to communicate and get all the emotions and excitements across quickly that our human nature gravitates to.
Michael, anything to add to that? How are you using it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the no-brainer. To me, is what Jesse said. And so instead of just reiterating that, let me take you to another opportunity to lead convert. When you create video content, and by the way, I think what Jesse's is the end all and be all, but I don't want to reiterate that and not give more value. We now know certain things about our viewership of our videos. So when a certain particular user bailed out 30 seconds in to a video about the things you need to know when purchasing a home in Colorado Springs in 2017. You know when they bailed out, but you also know the person that got to the 5-minute mark of that video. And no one gets to the 5-minute mark of a certain video or the fourth page of your buyer section of your website by accident. And so the whole idea in a sales is to move them down the funnel. And so now we can respond to the person that bailed out on the 30-second mark of our video differently than the person that consumed all 5 minutes. And whether that's YouTube cards, which is a huge opportunity, or other ways of taking that information, what we need to know is the deeper that relationship or the deeper that information they go down that rabbit hole, we can then move them along the sales cycle quicker because then we know that they're qualifying themselves. And so we as salespeople we don't see the word salesman the same way the public does, but is exactly what Phil was saying is what's in it for me. If you know that they consume the 5-minute mark of the video, you can then deliver them even more information based on that interest further down the cycle, as well as you will treat the person 30 seconds in differently. And so now we have this information to move them down the cycle. We can do it in a ton of different ways. But that information is definitely out there. We have to quickly go back to what Jesse was saying, which I think is the win too as well, is it's not harder to respond in the best way. Responding with a 30-second video is easier and faster and more convenient for me and converts higher than responding in an email. Real estate is a super emotional process. Very, very emotional. And so when you can lean forward and be empathetic with them and sharing their excitement or their frustration or their bad news, which happens in real estate all the time, when you're able to do that, there's no way that doesn't help you versus, I'm happy to help you and I'm so excited that you reached out and thank you for going to our website in a text message versus, hey, I'm Michael Thorne and you just requested some information on this property that we have on the market. You're going to love this. How can I help? I understand that buying is scary. Like all that stuff, it's just an absolute home run. And I know that we're beating it up, but it's just so obvious that there's not a better way of communicating with people. And it's easy.
Now, I think some of our listeners are probably picking up on this. You're talking about sending a personalized one-to-one video message, which is different from doing a highly produced pre-recorded video in dropping it in.
Yeah.
Why is that important, if at all?
Real.
Yeah. Well, here's
blemishes.
here's the thing about a lot of the people in Sean listening to this are in real estate.
A growing number are, but
okay.
I
So
would
so
still
let's
say
so
minority.
I'll use a real estate example, and it probably is affecting other industries. You know, our value proposition in the real estate industry has been, our traditional value proposition has been taken away from us. The ownership and the gatekeepers of the data. Anyone who is in real estate understands that. Anyone who's outside real estate understands that they now have the information where we used to have the information. That was our not so unique value proposition. So now our value proposition is to interpret the overwhelming amount of information. There's information overload. Now our job is to navigate them down through all the information. But more importantly, our job is to provide them a world-class customer experience. And what we have to understand in any sales, sales industry that we're in is that the likelihood is that they've had a sales experience similar to the one that you're about to provide. They've either worked with a real estate agent before, or they've bought a car before. And so we have now chance, because that bar has been set. Thankfully, you know what? I love when a client has worked with a real estate agent before they've worked with our team, because there has been a bar that has been set that I know that we're going to exceed. So now we're able to wow people with a customer experience, with care, with something that they've never experienced before. And it happens to Jesse and I all the time. The wow response to our emails. Just, if you have never sent a video email, please tell me the last time you got a wow to a response to an email. It doesn't happen. It happens to Jesse and I 4 times a day. And our job is to wow. That is our job. A customer experience is to wow. And the more you can wow, the more you create this army of people that are at coffee shops, that are out at cocktail parties, when they hear their friends going, I'm thinking about buying a home, where they go, oh my goodness, you won't believe the experience I had with Jesse Peters. It was unbelievable. Your job now is to create this army of people out there, these advocates. That's your billboard marketing. That's your bus bench ads. You create this army of people where they feel to their friends, they look their friends in the eye and they go, if you don't use Jesse, you're crazy. And that's what we're creating every single day. It has got to a point for our team by doing what we've been doing for a long period of time, but especially with video. If you do not pick up the phone and call us, or if you're not referred to us, we're probably not working with you. That's amazing. That's a prospecting of video. You have to pick up the phone and say, will you please be my agent? If not, we're probably not working with you. And Jesse, that's the way you do your business now. If they don't call you and go, can you please be my agent? You're not working with them. That's what's happened to your business, and that's what's happened to my business. And that has almost all to do with video.
I'm not out cold calling.
No.
If you want to strip it down, because that's where that mindset was at. This is a different way to bring value that they can't Google. Right? And yeah.
What about text? Are you using video in text at all? How does that work for you?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm using video. And see, the thing is, what we have to do too as well is we have to embrace and I sit down with my buyers, and I encourage anyone in any industry to do it. Say, how would you like me to communicate with you? If they're text people, you better learn how to text. If they're phone call people, you better pick up the phone. Now, the beautiful thing about that is now we can respond in video, whether they're on Facebook Messenger or they prefer email. And here's the thing about, email in general and cell phone numbers, text messaging. People might not be on Snapchat. They might not be on Instagram, but I don't remember the last time I dealt with a client, whether they're 85 or 25, where they didn't have a phone number, cell phone number, and an email address. And those are the two constants that you now can communicate with them. And so it's very important to communicate people on the platform that they prefer to communicating with. I communicate on their platform they prefer. I just do it in video. So whether it's iMessage or Facebook Messenger or email or text message, you're getting a video from me.
Yeah, no, I want to make a point. It's actually off the last point you were trying to make is
trying to make. You hear that, Phil? Phil said trying to make, which means I wasn't
successful.
I was not successful.
We're going to go further. No. For where you're at. So I love what you're talking about. So what I heard inside of that was video is viral. So when I've sent video to people, the response I've gotten is, oh yeah, you sent that video. I showed the rest of my team.
Yeah.
Or it's, hey, you sent that video, and then naturally with YouTube or Facebook video or iMessage or whatever that is, you immediately share it to the person that you want to share that news with. Like, video is made to be viral. Like, that is what it is.
Yeah, video is meant to be viral, and the social platforms are meant to be social, and I call them sharing platforms, right? The questions are now, how many of you liked something today? How many of you commented something today? How many of you shared something today? And all the time in our boot camps, it's more and more hands. It is a sharing society, and if you're able to share this video, right, encourage the people who are watching to share it, you're reaching a new audience. But people will also share naturally when you can entertain, inform, and engage. Holy crow, like, look at what this realtor is doing for this house, or holy crow, look at the value that this product is bringing, and look how this guy is delivering it, right? Like, it's in our nature to share, and if we're encouraged to share, we'll share it even more.
And here's the math portion of today's podcast, what Jesse just said. Here's the math that is done. If you go and highlight a local business, and they share that content, which they're going to do because they can't believe that you went and did some video about their business, or if you do a client testimonial and you capture the moment where they're buying their first home and they're ecstatic, the first person that shares that content is either that local business or that young couple that bought the house. And this is the math that is done. Every business out there has an audience, whether you're a coffee shop or an oil repair place. And when they share your video on Facebook, everyone who's a fan of that coffee shop does this math. I like the Watershed Arts Cafe. The Watershed Arts Cafe likes Jesse. I like Jesse. Tom and Mary, who are my dear friends, could have chosen any real estate agent in Winnipeg, and they chose Jesse, and look how happy they are. I like Tom and Mary. Tom and Mary like Jesse. I like Jesse. That's the math.
It's the new referral system.
That's the math that is done, and we have to understand that the amplification that happens with the sharing of a video is unbelievable. And so, you know, with all the video equipment I have, with all the stuff our team has, all the money we spent, capturing the moment that someone's in the sales cycle and that honest testimonial, not the testimonial that's done a week later, we're on the couch and the mic's set up and the lighting's perfect, and that's not real. Shaky cell phone, capturing that moment, that moment, and sharing that to them, and them sharing it to their friends, is the best testimonial you'll ever receive, and that's the math that's done.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I like that math. That's the math that would get me excited. If I had learned that math in school, I would have been.
But that's the math that is done. There is no doubt it's done, and it's beautiful.
Well, we've been talking so long that we've lost Phil. Phil has run out of battery on his computer. It's amazing.
I love that. not the first time it's happened.
Not surprised.
Okay, so I want to touch as well on client nurture. You've got existing clients. You've done business with them. What are you using video for? Either one of you, first thing that comes to mind. I'd like for you to talk about that as well, because I think there's some good things in there too.
Yeah, I mean, I think the stat in real estate is that 82% of people said at the end of the transaction that they would use the same agent again. 17% of the people actually do, and so the issue isn't did you do a good job. It's the issue of staying relevant to that person in between the homes that they buy and sell. Stay relevant to that person in between the cars that they buy and sell. And so video is just the best way, very easy, you know, continuing to add value. And I'm a big fan of adding value in the context of my professionalism. So as things change in the industry, a mortgage regulation changed, or giving them information to update them on maintaining the value of their home, or helping them continually understand. That's my job. And so just it's easy to open up the phone or the camera and speak to your past clients. Hey everyone, it's Michael, it's Jordan, it's Trish, whoever it is, and we just want to keep you updated on this information, and that goes out via video. Inviting people to their client get-togethers, like just being in front of them. And the thing is, you don't have to ram the fact that you're a real estate agent down their throats. You don't need to do that. Just continue to provide them value. And it's so easy to do. And when that's in an email, and Steve Pasnell, you've already mentioned before, I was fortunate enough to have lunch with Steve yesterday here in Vancouver, but he says something that's so relevant to every video that you send out, every text message, every email. He happens to use it in the context of the email. Every email you send is training the recipient whether they're going to open your next email. That's it. So if you are going to put out junk email, then every fourth time you're going to kill it with a great email. That great email doesn't get opened because you've trained your past clients that you provide them junk. And so you're better off providing them value, in more infrequently. And so the easiest way to provide them value is the best way to spend time with your past clients is to take them out for a cup of coffee every quarter for the rest of your life. That's not really an opportunity, but to sit down there and get in front of their face and say that you care about them on their birthday. Just say, hey, happy birthday, a little quick video. I hope you and I hope the boys are doing well. Just reference something about their lives. That's a home run. Just remain relevant. Just show them that they care, that relationship wasn't all about that one sale. Now that I got the sale, I don't need to be in a relationship with them anymore. The hardest thing you can do is take someone who doesn't know, like, and trust you and build know, like, and trust. The easiest thing we can do is once they know, like, and trust you, maintain that know, like, and trust. That's far easier than creating new like, and trust. And so I think that's where a lot of salespeople or people in general fall short. Just maintain that care. Let them know that you didn't care about them just because there was a paycheck in it. Let them know that you really, really care about them. And we try to do that, and we do that, and that pays off dividends. And I don't think Jesse's answer is a whole lot different than mine. Jesse?
He's shaking his head.
He's shaking that audio podcast. Mr. Video shakes his head.
Yeah. So Jesse, I see you're holding up a mini tripod. I want both of you to talk about tools, hardware, software. What are some of your favorite tools that you utilize to crush it with video?
Well, I would probably have all my gear here.
I wish Jesse had stocks in this company because he's about to sell a $300 piece of equipment. He has sold more equipment for this company.
Yeah. You know what? What's funny, though, is I don't have it on me today, Michael. I'm actually utilizing my video gear. I'm heading out to my cousin's wedding this weekend, and she asked me if I can shoot some of her wedding. I'm like, awesome. Nothing like the pressure of becoming a videographer now on the most important day of your life. But off the hop, I got 2 pieces of video equipment that I use just about every day or every week. And the first thing is, it's called the DJI Osmo Mobile. DJI Osmo Mobile. I think it's DJI Osmo Mobile. And what it is, it's a gimbal stabilizer meant for your mobile device. And what that does is it really smooths it out. I use it a lot on my Facebook Live tours. Takes away the shakiness, but still allows it to go instant, right? Like instant to the mobile device, having it held here. Love this tool. It just ramps up the professionalism instantly with still, still having it raw, like where the rawness, but if we can, take away the shakiness and still be in the moment, that is what that tool has done. And it is, for a few $100, it is a solid piece of equipment. And the next one that I've really started embracing and kind of getting into my world, the Joby Gorilla stand with the rollhead, I think it's called, mobile rollhead. And I've started utilizing this now, and there's a grip here that holds my phone to start shooting vertical video for Instagram and creating vlogs through Insta stories and whatnot. So those are the 2 pieces of equipment that are always pretty much on me. The tripods and monopods and all that fun stuff. But I think the best bang for the buck is the DJI Osmo, and something that allows you to set up your camera in another direction and kind of capture some different looks.
Cool. Michael?
Yeah, I think I think equipment is a graduation process. You know, as you see the ROI, you're willing to invest more and more and more. You know, with all the camera equipment I have, and we've brought in house, and it's extensive. The camera I use the most that creates the biggest ROI is my cell phone. There's no doubt it's with you all the time. The quality is good. In fact,
and have you upgraded your cell phone from like the 2005 iPhone?
Nope. Rocking the 5S. And won't. Oh, I will give it up when the 8 comes out, because the 8's going to be smaller than the 7, and so I'm super pumped about that. But
I don't think it's going to be actually.
Wait, no, easy.
I read the leak reports.
It's smaller. It's smaller. It's a bigger screen, but smaller form factor. So the thing about it is, you have to use the right camera to tell the story. And when you are capturing the moments of your life and what you do, it's better that it's shot on a cell phone, that it isn't on a tripod, that the audio isn't flawless, that the lighting isn't perfect, because there's this the trust of the communication goes away when it's too perfect. Now, do you need to have a perfect video when it's the about section of your website? Do you need a perfect video when it's your listing? Absolutely. You owe it to yourself, and you owe it to your listings to have those be perfect videos. But when you're trying to tell the story about who you are, or communicating the life in, or trying to put the potential consumer in the shoes of your consumer, it has to be real. And so I really encourage people to use the equipment that helps tell the story. And so I think your cell phone is amazing to create content, and it encourages you to do a whole lot of damage.
Now to dive a little bit deeper with the mobile, in terms of, we've both agree, cell phone, mobile, however you want to pronounce it, having the right equipment, but also the apps. If you're looking to edit on the go, you know what? There's iMovie is a great app. I'm actually using the app called Splice, which is the GoPro app. Love it, love it, love it. There's a couple.
Oh, did Jesse lose his train of thought, or is he?
Apps, Canada. Talking, Michael.
No, but no, you're not talking because you cut out. So I was trying to fill the dead space.
Oh,
try to get this moving along.
Gotcha. But I did have a moment in my head saying, what am I talking about here? Also, DIY Studio, I think, that allows me to put the text overlays or image overlays instantly on the video, on the camera. And those are some of the things I'll be teaching at the mobile video workshops coming up in September throughout RE/MAX and Tegra's tours. But those are just a couple of the apps right off the hop that I use regularly as well.
Awesome. All right, so this has been jam-packed with really great takeaways. I want to transition, since we lost Phil and his battery in his computer, I want to transition into rapid fire here.
I'm excited for this because we don't know what's coming.
Yeah, I know. Zero scripting at all here. I did give them a heads up that I was going to ask them some questions. So the purpose of this is just to give our listeners an insight into the minds of successful people in various industries, guests on our show. So first question, Jesse, I'm going to fire away to you, is what is the last book you read that got you fired up and inspired?
The Ask Gary V book, the Daily V, like the 20 or hundreds of questions in there, giving unique responses. Crush It was also another one by Gary Vaynerchuk, recently read again. Those ones always come top of mind and kind of fuel my soul, I'll say.
Okay. Michael,
yes.
Question to you. I'm just going to go back and forth here.
I don't get to answer the book question.
You go ahead. Go ahead.
Creativity Inc.
Okay, you were looking it up. That's why.
Well, no, I just wanted to get the name of the author. Creativity Inc. is the story of Pixar. It doesn't seem like it's a good business book. It's a phenomenal business book.
Awesome. All right, Michael, we'll continue with you. What routines do you have? Could be morning, could be noon, could be evening time before you go to bed. What routines do you have that contribute towards your success?
I'm probably the worst person to ask this question. I'm very routine free. My business partner Jorda is all routine and structure, and I'm much more. That's what I love about this job. It's different. I don't have a whole lot of routine. I believe in consistency. I believe in content. So whether it's, I've just started a new project called North Langley 365. That's posting a community-based image on Instagram for the next 365 days straight. I
would call that routine, though.
Yeah, I think that's routine. I think consistency. I don't think I have to do it at a certain time during the day. I do certain things all the time, every day. And so, I think we need to make these commitments. I think it's like the 30 videos in 30 days. The moment you publicly declare that, you're in. And I think that's the ROI for you. So yeah, we always do certain things in a routine. I try to get up an hour or so before my boys get up in the morning. That gives me that I check my Facebook Messenger, check Facebook, outline the bit of the day, have the cup of coffee and quiet. I think I need that to get energized. Then I will jump on YouTube and consume sort of my subscription people, while I'm having breakfast, I'll or a cup of coffee, Peter McKinnon, if he's got something now, or Casey Neistat. I definitely start my day with some YouTube. Yeah, that's my routine. I mean, real estate, as you know, Sean, it doesn't permit you for a whole lot of routine. It's very in motion, but definitely consistency. I'm definitely very, very consistent.
What about you, Jesse?
Yeah, I've got two little ones, age 2 and 4. So I've been blessed with really early risers. If there was an emoji I could put up right now, it would probably be coffee and lots of it. So my days, they are getting better though. My days usually start somewhere between 5:30 and 7 with the encouragement to get out of bed for my children or my wife. But what that allows me to do is connect with my kids right off the hop, whether it's snuggling, movies, making breakfast together, utilizing that couple hours before I get into real work mode, because in the real estate industry, dinner times and evenings and whatnot, you're working with other people's schedules, right? So I get a lot of especially early on, that's when I got a lot of my family time. I would definitely say there's some more structure now for family time later in the day, just where my business is now at. But it starts early. Brewing some coffee, doing some dishes, making pancakes, and then I take about half an hour and I go through my emails and I look at what's new on the market. I check my own listing stats, just touching base with everybody pretty much before 8 a.m. so that I know, okay, here's what conversations could happen. Here, I've connected with my assistant to say, here's where we're at for daily tasks and weekly tasks, so that those conversations aren't happening in the middle of the day. They're happening before the day and kind of laying it all out, right? Putting it on paper, setting it in text. I've got all my calendars synced. So, because it's just me. I'm not on a team, right? It's just me. And over the last year, I've been able to bring on an amazing assistant who has really been now the foundation of my business. But I need to be
rapid fire.
Rapid. You're not a long talker. Yeah, routine would be no lunch. It would just be getting out. Thanks, Michael. Next question.
Dude, I love you, man. I love the fact that you and I are like brothers, man.
That's awesome. All right. No, you could expound. You're the guest, so you can expound as long as you would like.
No, you know what, though? I think routine, though, is to make sure you're filling your cup wherever it needs to happen. Yeah. And I don't ever think there's a perfect balance of routine. I think it's always going to be teeter-totter. But now going further into my career and my life cycle and where I'm at, the chunks of time that I'm trying to get better at implementing is family time.
Yeah.
And video time and video creating time is usually happening after 9:30 at night.
Yeah.
So I don't get a lot of sleep.
Love it. All right. last question for you two, and then we will go ahead and wrap up with this video marathon. What apps, software, tools are you using to help organize your day or keep track of everything? I mean, it could be something as simple as Google Calendar.
Yeah.
Or are you using something that really gives you insight into, you know, how long you're spending on each task? Any apps, tools, software that our Real Sales Talk listeners might enjoy being informed about?
Structuring Evernote in the right way, it to me is, you know, a game changer. You know, I was using Evernote regularly, and then we had actually Stacey Harmon on Mobile Agent TV, and then I read her book. What's her book called, Mel? Untethered, and structuring it that way. And it's nice because Untethered is written by two people, one who's sort of an unstructured person and one who's a super structured person. You kind of choose your own adventure of how you want to set up Evernote. I love Evernote. It's just it's a lifesaver for me. If I need anything, it's in there. It's super searchable. I can search any way that I want. It's structured the way I want. All my client relationships, all my brainstorming, all my vlog ideas, everything's just there to use the web clipper and just see something and just throw it in there for later on, whether it's a podcast idea or a business idea or a marketing. You know, I'm a big fan of being inspired by people, and I can just throw that stuff in there, take notes. I think Evernote, when it's set up the way that the worst thing in rapid fire, Michael.
You could read my mind.
The problem with Evernote is when you get in there, it's a blank canvas. It's just empty, and I think that's intimidating. Once you get it set up the way that it fits your personality, and so you have a piece of software that works on the way that you work. I think it's a phenomenal tool.
Awesome. Love it. Jesse, what's your go-to app or apps?
Go-to apps that keep this brain organized. I use the top for my my assistant. She syncs all our client stuff up in the background, and I get all the notifications on why to do it. That also syncs with my Google Calendar, which is where I have my family calendar. Also,
what app are you talking about?
He cut out, but I think he's a top producer.
Top producer. Now, there's no specific app for it. You have to save the page. You have to go online and save the page and create it as a bookmark on your page. Google Calendar would be the other one. And in terms of organization, on my laptop and world would be Dropbox. I think it does a lot of similar things to Evernote, just maybe a little bit different. I tried Evernote, and like Michael said, I found it to be very intimidating. But Dropbox is my world now, and I'm able to do so much of it on my phone as well, from scanning documents in, electronic signatures. And by the way, in Winnipeg, Manitoba, we are not allowed electronic signatures yet on our offers to purchase. So we don't have DocuSign. We don't have anything.
I haven't. Oh, and that's the thing, DocuSign. I haven't touched a piece of paper in my real estate career in 10 years. Not a deposit check, nothing. Like, the sooner you can get to be paperless, if your industry allows, whatever industry you're in, the sooner you get to be paperless, the sooner, once again, you're going to provide a better client experience for your customer, and your life will then be untethered from whatever 10 by 10 square foot room you think you're obligated to occupy in order to make money. I can do business in between innings of my son's baseball game, and we talk about success. We talk about success and anything. You can use whatever metric you want. Jesse and I think we know each other well enough that I'll speak for you. Measure success for the amount of hours in a day that you're happy. And money is one thing. Success is happiness. And if you can be at your son's baseball game and still do business, that's what being paperless will allow you to do. Everyone should be paperless if your industry allows you to be.
Awesome. Gentlemen, thank you very much. This has been incredible. I can't wait to get this into the hands of our listeners. I really appreciate your time. I have massive respect for you two. I'm so glad that I can call you two friends and follow along with your journey through video and through social media. Thank you. Really, really appreciate your time and coming on.
Sean, you know that feeling's mutual, and I appreciate that, and I love the opportunity to give any value we can to your audience, and I can't wait to hear what Phil has to say about us. Turn it over to Phil. Phil, what do you think about Jesse?
If you are interested, Sean, we'd love to see you at our next video boot camp. But if you want to learn more about Video Bootcamp, go to videobootcamp.ca. And you've been doing some amazing things here with your podcast, and now you being in the real estate industry.
Dial up.
Damn it, really nice too. Anyway.
Oh, and a couple things, Sean. Just to let you know, Jesse and I have been working on a project here for like the last 5 months. It's almost ready to announce to the world. It's not a sales pitch. It's adding more value to the to the community. Specifically talking about video. It's going to be awesome, and we'll give you an update what it is. But I do have a special guest. Does this go out in video or just audio, Sean?
Both. It's gonna do. We do
both.
It's
gonna go both. It's gonna go both. Oh, I almost had Valerie Garcia come in. I should have been honest.
Gosh.
I should have lied. Valerie is visiting me for my birthday, so she spoke yesterday in Vancouver, and she's gonna hang out.
I have.
I think she did it.
Mutual respect for Val. Oh, hey.
Oh!
The best.
Valerie sighting.
The best.
Yeah, Valerie's awesome. I love her and have enjoyed following her journey as well. So you've mentioned the couple of projects that you're doing, the Video Bootcamp and this one that's upcoming. We'll definitely make sure that we promote that to our audience. If people love what they are hearing about you two, how can people connect with you online?
You go to this website, google.com.
Wait, let me write that one down.
You write that one down. You throw in my name and throw Remax behind it if you want to. You're going to find me everywhere. And Jesse is Mr. Social Savvy everywhere that anyone is. Jesse is there.
Yeah, Facebook.com, Mr. Social Savvy. Easiest to hit me up on Facebook Messenger or on Instagram. Loving that platform. At Mr. Social Savvy. That's with 2 V's.
Awesome.
Like your hat.
Gentlemen, thank you very much again. Really appreciate you two. And I will give you a heads up once this goes live to our audience.
You're the best, Sean. Awesome. I appreciate it, man.
See you guys.
Thanks, Sean.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Phil.